Hello there everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Botox Games. Today we are talking about Pokemon, Legends EA, and this massive wait for any type of news on a mainline entry in the series. We are so overdue for some sort of trailer for Legends EA or some sort of information from Game Freak, from the Pokemon Company. So today I wanted to talk about that as well as our hype levels for Legends EA as we are hopefully getting closer to some sort of a trailer for this game. Of course, if you are new here and you enjoy Nintendo Switch news, discussions, all of that fun stuff, I would appreciate you subscribing. Let's get into it. Alrighty, a good Friday morning. If you're watching this on a Friday morning, yes, today we're talking about Pokemon. It's been a while since I've actually talked about Pokemon on this channel because it's just been so quiet. There's things going on if you are really into the series. If you're into like the mobile games, of course, we had Worlds back in August. There's cool TCG stuff. We have TCG Pockets at the end of October. I think in New Zealand it's actually already out, so some regions already have that, but it has been just so quiet for Pokemon news over the past year or so, really 2 years. Even last year, you know, we had the DLC, right? But 2023, pretty quiet overall, and then this year has been even quieter because there hasn't even been that DLC. Legends EA was announced in, February? So end of February, 8 months ago. No spinoffs this year, just mobile games and updates to older mobile games. We had no Pokemon Presents in August like we have every other year this decade. So it's just been a very quiet time to be a Pokemon fan, which on the one hand, I really want to see Legends EA and see what they're cooking with this next Legends game. I love Legends Arceus. On the other hand, I do appreciate that this could indicate that Game Freak is actually taking their time. Pokemon Company and Nintendo are actually giving them the time they need to make this game as best as it possibly can be. Make it run properly, right? Make sure there's no bugs and all that. I'm sure there will still be some, but giving them more time after the disaster that was Scarlet and Violet, even though I do think those are very good games, when you look past the technical issues, the launch of those games was unacceptable, so it does seem like they're actually getting the time they need to really polish this game up. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We haven't seen the game. Maybe it will also launch and be as buggy as Scarlet and Violet was, but I really don't think so. But I wanted to talk about this silence from Pokemon Company because I wonder what's the exact reason. Is it because Legends EA isn't ready? Is it because they are actually waiting to you know, polish this game up and giving them that time? Is it just not ready to be shown? Is it because they're saving it as a Switch 2 kind of cross-gen game? I know a lot of people really think that Legends EA will launch alongside the Switch 2 or kind of launch on both platforms at the same time, similarly to Metroid Prime 4. We'll talk about that more in just a second. Is it because this game isn't actually close? With Legends Arceus, that was announced in February 2021 and released in January of 2022, so it released early in the year. I think a lot of people, even though they didn't say early 2025 in the trailer like they did for Arceus, where that's at early 2022, I think a lot of people were still expecting it to release in the first half of the year anyway. Maybe not, you know, January, February, but maybe by March, maybe by June even, right? But maybe it's not releasing in the first half of next year at all. Announcing it so early, if it is not releasing until next holiday, let's say November when Pokemon normally comes out, if it's not releasing until then, announcing it in February of 2024 feels really weird. Like, they didn't need to do that. But also, maybe they thought they did because they had nothing else for this year, and they knew how weird it would be for fans to go that long without not knowing what the next mainline game is. I mean, guys, you gotta remember, we're already in, like, completely unprecedented territory when it comes to 2 years now of no mainline releases. Now, yes, last year we had the DLC, and I guess in prior generations, right, you know, prior to Sword and Shield, that would have been, like, the third version or the upgraded version of those games. But we got the DLC instead, so we kind of had something for 2023, but officially, this is the first time in the history of the Pokemon franchise where we are going 2 full calendar years without a new release, which is a little jarring after what happened with BDSP releasing in November, then like 2 months later we had Arceus, and then, you know, 11 months later we had Scarlet and Violet, all within like a 12-month period. It's a little jarring going from that, having 3 games so soon, to having nothing for 2 full years. And it's definitely got me, personally, like, very antsy to play more Pokemon. Normally, when a Pokemon game comes out, I play the heck out of it. I don't, like, do competitive. I don't play it, like, for years, right? But I play the heck out of it for the first, like, 3 months, I would say. Do my shiny hunting, do a little bit of competitive, I guess, with friends and stuff like that. But I usually kind of drop off after about 3 months. Then I take, like, a 3 or 4 month break. Then they announce the new game. Then, you know, I will start getting excited. I'll go back and play an old Pokemon game. I haven't done that this time. Scarlet and Violet came out. I played it for, you know, 2 months straight. I put a ton of time into it. I still haven't actually done the DLC, admittedly, so I kind of need to go back and do that. But usually by now I would have replayed an old Pokemon game, but I haven't done that this time. This is by far the longest I have gone without playing a Pokemon RPG, which is a little weird. Like, this is the longest in my life I've ever gone without playing one, and that's because they haven't released one. So I'm definitely getting antsy, and like I'm really just ready to see something, even though I do definitely appreciate them taking their time. I am selfish and want to see this new game. Either way, though, if it's not releasing until next holiday, which will make it a full 3 years from when Scarlet and Violet released, which is just crazy to think about, because normally we'd be thinking about like Gen 10 releasing next year, because they normally do a 3-year generation cycle. That would be the lineup for holiday 2025, would be Generation 10, but I think most of us are in agreement they're probably saving that for 2026 for the 30th anniversary. Even if that is the case, even if it's not coming out for another, gosh, 13 months, right? Like, it'd be a while from now. Even if that's the case, I still think we will see it sooner than later. Maybe the latest would be Pokemon Day, right? Like, I think by then we'll certainly see it, but I still think there's a chance we even maybe see something this year. Now, I know there was a lot of scuttlebutt online this past week about there being some sort of Pokemon news this week. Now, maybe this video gets outdated very quickly. Maybe by the time I post it, something happens, but it is Thursday night. There has been no news regarding Legends EA this week, and I'm not sure. I guess it comes down to whether or not they need to market this game before the Switch 2 gets announced, or if it's part of the Switch 2 announcement. And we'll talk about that now for a little bit. I know a lot of people are still headstrong on Legends EA being a Switch 2 game, and that could very well be a major reason we haven't seen it. Maybe the game is ready to be shown because, they already have had 3 years of development time, or a little bit, 2.5 years of development time since Legends Arceus came out. So that's not great for dev cycles in general, but for Pokemon, it's not the worst. So maybe it's ready to be shown, but they're just waiting for the Switch 2. That is definitely possible. I'm still not convinced that they're actually saving it for the Switch 2, though. I really don't know if that makes sense. At least it makes sense from a business perspective. And in fact, maybe it makes a little bit too much sense for Pokemon Company, if you get what I'm saying, because traditionally, Pokemon Company and Game Freak have always been very, very slow to moving on. Now, obviously, we know Legends EA is coming to the Switch. That is 100% happening. It is a Switch game first and foremost, but I would love if it came to Switch 2 day one, and it looks better on Switch 2 and all that, right? I would love that. I'm not advocating for it to not have a Switch 2 version. It just is something we haven't really seen before. So I guess I'm a little hesitant to predict it when there is no track record for that. In fact, the track record has been the opposite. Game Freak always stays behind on old hardware very late. If you look back to the DS, they were doing Black and White back in 2012. Black and White 2 came out in 2012. And then with the 3DS, you had Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon in 2017. 6 months in to the Switch's life cycle. It wasn't until 18 months after the Switch came out that we got Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. We have never seen them adopt new hardware that fast, to the point where the Switch game that they already announced as a Switch game would actually be saved to market alongside the Switch 2. So while I would like to believe that, I think that'd be very cool and awesome, and it'd be a great change for Pokemon Company, and I'm sure Nintendo would love it because Legends EA is an ultimate system seller on the same scale as a new 3D Mario and a new Zelda game. I just don't know if they would do that because they've never really done it. I would like it to be true, but I'm just not too sure. Now, there were some recent tweets from the Pokemon Riddler. I always feel so goofy talking about the Pokemon Riddler, but Riddler _ KHU, or Ku, I think is how you would say that name, was tweeting the other day, and I think that's why a lot of people started talking about the potential of some sort of Pokemon news this week. So he said, Akaku soon, with a little party emoji. Akaku is the codename, or supposedly is the codename for Legends EA. So they're saying here, Pokemon Legends EA soon. We're going to see it sooner. Something's going to happen with this game soon. He also replied to that saying pre-odd. So people were thinking okay, maybe he means pre-orders are going to go up, which is definitely possible. If the Switch 2 isn't involved, let's say, if the Switch 2 is getting announced later this month, whatever, and it's not related to Legends EA, we could see Pokemon still this month. I actually talked about this earlier in September, I think, where after we didn't get a Pokemon Presents in August, I was still saying, they could do a September Presents, and now in this case, an October Presents. I think that's not impossible. I don't think it's extremely likely, but they could do a smaller Presents that is just for Legends EA, maybe a couple mobile updates, right? Pre-Pokemon TCG Pocket releasing, just to finally do a final promotion for that game. They could do an October Presents. They haven't done it before, but there's nothing really stopping them from doing that. So The Riddler, by the way, to catch you up on the Riddler, basically this person has reliably in the past leaked a ton of information, I believe, about Sword and Shield, as well as Scarlet and Violet. However, they were notoriously wrong this year on Pokemon Day. They were kind of teasing and hinting at a Pokemon Black and White remake, so their credibility is highly in question at this point. It is also worth noting, though, that Puro, if you recall, actually had said, and he did clarify that it might not be the most reliable information, but Puro had said, like, I heard they're doing a Unova remake. So I don't know where that information came from. Maybe it was a situation where Pokemon Company and Nintendo were trying to basically rat out their snitches, right? Maybe they fed some information to people that they knew would feed that to Puro, to this Pokemon Riddler, and that's kind of what happened there, because obviously Unova remakes aren't happening yet. I do think they will, potentially even next year, actually. We'll talk about that, I guess, in a second, but maybe that's what happened there, and their credibility has fallen flat since, so who knows if they actually still have any type of legitimate sources, right? But they said Akaku soon, so Legends EA soon, and then they said new project hint. Now, this is unrelated to Akaku. They actually say this is not related to Legends EA, but they said a new project hint and a little prayer emoji. And they actually said, check the replies. A few people nailed it so quickly. Good job. Now, I actually saw this tweet when it was like very fresh, and he first replied saying, they nailed it. So the couple of replies that I saw that I think this would make the most sense for was that the region would be set in Italy, because Italy, of course, has strong religious vibes. The Vatican's there, the Pope is there. So maybe this new region for Generation 10 would be set in Italy. I think that'd be a cool setting. Like, I would love Greece or something, but Italy, even though we've gotten a lot of European regions recently, I'd be down for Italy. Like, I think they can do a lot of cool stuff with Italy. And I saw someone saying in the replies, I guess there's some paintings or something in the background of one of the houses that look like the streets of Italy or something like that. So I'm not sure if that's accurate, but Italy could be cool for the new region. But yeah, those were the two pieces of like rumors we had this week that had a lot of people talking. Legends EA supposedly soon, and then maybe new region for Gen 10 would be set in Italy, which isn't like the most in-depth rumor or anything, right? And it is just a hint. We're speculating. That's why they're called the Riddler, I guess, right? They don't, they are not on the nose. They still kind of hint around, and we'll see if that ends up being true. We'll see if we actually end up getting Legends EA information soon. I lean towards yes. I lean towards we will see something this year before Pokemon Day. Like, I do think before 2024 is over, we see Legends EA again, or at the very least have some sort of update or like some sort of official mention of the game. I don't know if they would ever do like Pokemon at the Game Awards. I don't think so. Pokemon Company does like to work on their own schedule. So whether or not it's a presents, whether or not it's in the Switch 2 reveal trailer, I do think in some form or fashion, Legends EA will be shown again this year. I really do think it'd be so weird to go from announcing it in February 2024 and then not seeing it again until 12 months later. That would just be so unheard of for a Pokemon Company, but it's also unheard of for us to go 2 full years without a release, and that is seemingly happening. So we'll see about that. I did mention the Unova remakes thing. I don't know if their sources were actually wrong. I think they probably were, right? Because they were hinting that that was going to be the game announced this year. I do still think Unova remakes exist. Maybe this is purely cope, but if Legends EA is releasing in the first half of next year, which is totally up in the air right now, and the longer we go without seeing it, the less likely that is, but let's say it comes out in March to June, like somewhere in that range, it is not impossible that we also get another Pokemon game in November developed by another team, not Game Freak. So maybe it's Ilka. They did the Diamond and Pearl remake. Maybe it's another team entirely. I threw out the idea, I think in the last time I talked about Pokemon Black and White remakes, I threw out the idea of, I think the developer is Gem Drops. They did that amazing Star Ocean 2 remake for Square Enix, because I know a lot of people want like the HD 2D style for Black and White remakes. I'm not sure if we would get quite that, but Gem Drops and Star Ocean 2, I mean, that game looks beautiful. So it'd be crazy to see them take on a mainline Pokemon game. I think it's not out of the realm of possibility that we do still see Black and White remakes next year. Maybe that's cope. We'll see. I was wrong. I really did think it was going to happen this year, so I will take the L on that. But yeah, I think it's possible we get Legends EA early next year and then still get something else, not from Game Freak next year. I think Pokemon Company has learned their lesson, and they will give Game Freak the time they need to polish their games. But that doesn't mean they won't also outsource projects now that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are the best-selling Pokemon remakes. Why would they not continue having other developers make the remakes, right? Like, it'd just be weird for them to not do that anymore. So I do think it's possible we still see Black and White remakes next year. I know there was also that trademark, I want to say, for some new Pokemon TCG sets. Yeah, at the beginning of September from PokeBeach here, the Pokemon TCG sets Black Bolt and White Flare were trademarked, which is super interesting, right? Like, doing a Black and White themed set releasing in 2025. That's a little weird, right? But yeah, I am just impatiently waiting for some sort of Pokemon news. I really like that they're giving them the time they need to polish this game up, hopefully, but also at the same time, I'm a greedy child and I want to see Pokemon. I really want to see Legends EA, because Legends Arceus is so good. I still think about that game quite often, and I really do think it is the best Pokemon game we have gotten since probably Black and White 2, honestly. Like, I really like Legends Arceus, and I cannot wait to see what they do with Legends EA. I would say, honestly, like, Legends EA might be my most anticipated game for 2025 at this moment, at this point in time. Like, we'll see what happens, right? There's gonna be a lot of other games coming out next year, like a 3D Mario most likely, and maybe even Mario Kart and some other things like Prime 4, of course, and some other things on like PS5. But for me right now, Legends EA is at like the top of my hype list, just because I loved Legends Arceus so much, and I have faith, especially given the extra dev time, that Legends EA will deliver. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. How are you feeling about Legends EA? And also maybe, I guess, we would comment on the Black and White remake thing. How are you feeling about these games? When do you think we will actually see Legends EA again? Do you think they're saving it for the Switch 2 announcement trailer? Do you think it is a cross-gen release? Do you think that's why we haven't seen it? Or do you think it's simply not ready? Do you think they're just not ready to show it? I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Of course, subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch news, reviews, discussions, all that fun stuff. Follow me on Twitter at BoTalksGames, and check out my other channel at It's Amiibo. And until next time, folks, peace.